I had heard all the warnings before coming to India. It's not safe to travel alone. Be careful of scams. You'll get lost in the chaos. But I came anyway. After settling into my stay in Kochi, I stepped out to explore, unsure of what to expect. The air was thick with the scent of spices, and the streets buzzed with life. Rickshaws weaved through traffic, street vendors called out to passers-by, and the warm humidity clung to my skin. As I stood at a street corner, pulling out my phone to check the route to Mattancherry Palace, a voice interrupted me. "Lost, ma?" I turned to see an elderly shopkeeper, his hands dusted with turmeric from the spices he was packing. I hesitated before nodding. Instead of just pointing me in the right direction, he stepped out of his shop and motioned for me to follow. "Come, I'll show you." We walked together through winding streets, past vibrant murals and old colonial buildings. He spoke about Kochi's history, about how traders from all over the world had come here, bringing culture, flavors, and stories. When we finally reached the palace, I thanked him, but he simply smiled. "Take care and be careful," he said before disappearing into the crowd. And that was just the beginning. The next stop was Thekkady, home to lush forests and wild elephants. I joined a Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary safari, sharing a jeep with fellow travelers. The ride was breathtaking. Elephants bathing in the river, deer grazing in the misty fields, birds calling from the treetops. At the end of the tour, I reached into my bag to tip the guide, only to realize I didn't have enough cash. I panicked for a second, embarrassed. Before I could say anything, a man beside me casually handed the remaining amount to the guide. I turned to him, startled. "You didn't have to do that." He just shrugged. "It's okay. In India, we don't let our guests feel uncomfortable." Before I could even thank him properly, he had already walked away. The journey from Thekkady to Theni was supposed to be straightforward, but things don't always go as planned. I had underestimated how difficult it would be to find transport. As I stood near a small roadside tea stall, sipping on a hot cup of chai, I wondered how I would make it to my next destination. A Tamil family sitting nearby noticed my confusion. The father, with a kind smile, asked where I was going. When I told him, he didn't even hesitate. "Come with us. We're driving to Theni." I blinked. "Are you sure?" "I don't want to trouble you." The mother laughed. "You are our guest." The next thing I knew, I was sitting in their car, engaged in a conversation about Tamil cinema and food. They quizzed me on whether I had ever tried proper South Indian dosa, and when I admitted I hadn't, they made me promise to have one in Theni. Their children excitedly shared stories, their energy infectious. By the time we reached Theni, I didn't feel like a traveler anymore. I felt like I had just taken a road trip with family. India changed the story. Before coming here, the world had painted a different picture of India, one of danger, chaos, and caution. But I found warmth, generosity, and kindness in the most unexpected places. A shopkeeper who took the time to guide me. A stranger who paid my tip without hesitation. A family who welcomed me into their journey as if I had always belonged. India wasn't just a destination, it was an embrace. And I left with a heart fuller than when I arrived.